Oh, you guys take camp way too seriously.
Calling all the demigods. Whether you belong to Camp Half-Blood or Camp Jupiter, we've all been obsessed with the Percy Jackson series at one point in time. Fans of the books probably already know how much the two movies changed, but today we're taking a look at specific moments the films got wrong, and just why some fans think the new Disney Plus series could be the do-over they've been waiting for.
She was squashy like a bug. Her name.
Annabeth Dies, daughter of Athena, and the demigod that managed to steal not only Percy Jackson's heart, but our hearts as well. There's no doubt that the movie portrayed her as absolutely stunning, with her dark straight hair and piercing blue eyes. But that Annabeth was a far cry from the description Rick Riordan wrote in his novels. Book Annabeth had curly blonde hair and gray eyes, so basically the opposite of what we saw on screen. They did try and lighten her hair a bit in the Sea of Monsters film, but they just couldn't hit the mark. And if that wasn't enough, the movie got Annabeth's age all wrong. In the film, Annabeth and Percy are 16 years old, but in the books, they were only 12. They weren't even supposed to be teenagers.
Hey, no staring.
Speaking of Annabeth and Percy, their relationship in the movies compared to the books was drastically different because of that major age change. In the first book, the two 12-year-olds didn't exactly get off to a great start, but they eventually learned how to work together and become friends. Now, moving over to the Lightning Thief film, well, let's just say things got heated. Fast. And we're not talking about the two demigods clashing heads. By the end of the films, we had plenty of romantic scenes to prove that Percabeth was definitely a thing. Of course, we know that at the end of the Percy Jackson book series, Percabeth is endgame, but the movies and their age definitely sped up that process.
I think I am the son of Poseidon.
Before Percy's relationship with Annabeth could even start, he of course had to be introduced to Camp Half-Blood and to the casual fact that he was a demigod. No big deal. In the movie, after fighting the Minotaur, Percy wakes up 3 days later and realizes that his father is Poseidon, god of the sea.
Yep, you're a demigod.
But it takes a little longer for Percy to find out his paternity in the books. He's only claimed by Poseidon after defeating the Ares campers. Speaking of his powers, that's also something that's drastically different in the movies and books. In the movies, Percy starts to master his powers almost immediately, but in the novel series, it takes multiple books for him to even get to the point we see him at in the movies. We don't exactly know why they made this change, but it could have been to make the movies a little more engaging.
That's because all gods are the same. They only care about themselves.
Before Percy figures out that maybe Luke Castellan isn't the greatest company to have around, Luke gives him an epic pair of shoes. Shoes that literally have wings and allow the person wearing them to fly. In the movies, Percy puts the shoes to good use. He uses them to collect the pearl in Parthenon and even in his final battle with Luke for the bolt. But in the books, we don't ever really get to read about them in action. Percy is actually scared to use them because of Zeus's threat against him occupying his sky and gives the shoes to Grover. Well, in the book, it turns out he was right not to use them. He would have literally been dragged down to Tartarus.
Oh, there it is. Lotus Casino.
Underage demigods walk into a casino. What could go wrong? A lot. In The Lightning Thief, when Percy, Annabeth, and Grover visit the Lotus Casino in the films, their adventure to stop the godly war is put on pause. And that's because of some delicious, addictive Lotus treats that lure them into staying there for a whole 5 days.
That's really good.
The same thing pretty much happens in the book, except instead of Lotus treats, they were given green credit cards that completely took away their concept of time. While we're not exactly happy they changed things from the book, we have to admit, those Lotus snacks did look kinda tasty.
Welcome to the underworld.
Eventually, Percy does make it to the underworld in The Lightning Thief, and in the films is greeted by Persephone, also known as Hades' wife, but she is literally being kept captive in his quarters. The book, on the other hand, is much tamer. Persephone doesn't even make an appearance because she's away spending the summer with her mother.
You're
Hermes. Little insulted you didn't recognize me.
Moving on to the differences in Sea of Monsters. Let's start small. Kinda. And talk about the gifts Hermes gives Percy to help him on his quest. The god chooses a calming beach in the books to give Percy the powerful thermos. The movie took this moment and made it extra. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson meet Hermes at the Olympic Postal Service that's disguised as a UPS store. Maybe the beach was just too tame for the producer. The scriptwriters really woke up that day and chose glam.
Annabeth!
Imagine Annabeth passing? We'd never forgive Rick or any movie producer who would make that a reality. Oh, wait, it kind of did become reality. Only in the Sea Monsters movie, that is. While fighting the Manticore, she was fatally hurt, and fans cried along with Percy when it happened. Luckily, she was brought back to life by the fleece. In the books, Annabeth was only badly injured, and it was from Polyphemus during battle. The fleece also came to the rescue in this situation and healed her.
Percy Jackson.
Kronos is one of the most important villains in the Percy Jackson series, and is the reason a lot of the events in the series occur. However, Kronos doesn't claim a host and rise until the book The Battle of the Labyrinth. But in the Sea of Monsters movie, Kronos not only rises, but rises without finding a host. Could this have been because the filmmakers already knew they weren't going to be able to bring the rest of the book series to life? What do you think?
I heard there was a prophecy about me.
Why is it that all heroes have a prophecy to fulfill? Harry Potter, Rey Skywalker, they're always tasked with these big shoes they have to fill, just like Percy Jackson. But the way Percy finds out about the prophecy changes whether you're watching the movies or reading the books. In the book The Last Olympian, Percy receives the prophecy by reading a handwritten note that had been in the necklace around the oracle's neck. It's supposed to come true when he turns 16. However, in the films, Percy is told the prophecy by the Oracle of Delphi in the Sea of Monsters film. To top it all off, the prophecy is meant to come to be when he is 20.
Curse blade shall reap.
Imagine this. You read about Harry Potter's invisibility cloak in the books and then find out the cloak does not exist in the movies. The concept seems laughable, right? Well, that's what happened to Annabeth in the film adaptations. In the Sea of Monsters book, Annabeth uses her knife and cap of invisibility to save the gang multiple times. The knife is even more special because it's the cursed knife of the prophecy. But in the movies, both of her weapons don't really make an appearance. Instead, Percy's sword, Anaklusmos, is the cursed sword of the prophecy.
And, an extra shot of nectar.
This last one isn't as big as excluding Annabeth's weapons, but it's still a difference we had to mention. In the books, Nectar is a demigod medicine that could cause combustion if you took a little too much. But in the movie, specifically Sea of Monsters, we're told Nectar is just a casual drink that you can get at a demigod cafe.
I've lived.
Now that we've gone over just how much the 2010 and 2013 films got wrong, let's go over what we know about the newest Percy Jackson series that was just announced, and how Disney Plus might just be the ones to finally get it right. We haven't gotten any confirmation on the cast, but we do know that Rick is heavily involved. This means that everything Rick had issues with in the original adaptations, like the ages of the characters, will probably be fixed. Although it'll be hard to say goodbye to Logan Lerman as our Percy, maybe we'll finally get the screen series we've all been waiting for. We can all agree that the film and book series are drastically different, from major plot points all the way to the color of Annabeth's hair. But we have our fingers crossed for Percy Jackson fans everywhere. Hopefully, Disney Plus can put their godlike powers forward and finally give us the adaptation we deserve. What are your thoughts on the changes the movies made? Did you enjoy them? Tell us all your Percy Jackson thoughts below. Thanks for watching The Things, fans!